Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me live. I actually had a podcast episode scheduled to record right now. And sadly, my guest had an unexpected medical situation come up. Fabulous guest, super excited to be interviewing him soon. Huge in the NFL, huge at ESPN, and just really, we're going to be highlighting his journey from um, brain damaged athlete to fabulous sought after speaker. Now, I'm not even going to mention his name, but we'll be doing that soon as we can get him rescheduled. In the meantime, I was thinking about a question I get pretty often. And I just thought I'm just going to get on here live and answer this question, or at least share some of my thoughts about this question. And that is, I get this all the time. As a speaker, how should I set my fees? Right? What should I charge? As a speaker, of course, that's going to differ vastly between speaker to speaker. A few of the things we look at, number one, is how much have you gone out there and proven your process, right? How many people have paid you to speak to their organizations? Do you have collateral there? Do you have testimonials, feedback, B-roll, right? All the things that you get when you are getting kind of those higher value speaking engagements. So that's obviously something we look at. Another thing we look at is, do you only monetize the host check, right? The keynote check that you receive. Is that really your only form of monetization for a given speaking engagement? Or do you also have services or products that the audience might be interested in buying? So you're monetizing the audience and you're monetizing the actual speaking opportunity. That is a huge question, because if you're only monetizing for the host check, then there's a lot of variables, right? Is it worth traveling to go and do that speaking engagement? Can it lead to other speaking engagements? Is it worth, $10,000, $15,000? We look at all the different aspects of that. If, on the other hand, you have something significant to offer to the audience and you're allowed to do it, or at least you're attracting those premium level clients to you through your talk, then that's huge. That will always surpass any host check, even the bigger host checks, right? Hands down. The audience checks are always going to far out surpass the host checks. Let's just say you're in front of 50 people out of 50 people. And honestly, the smaller the audience, the bigger the impact. It's just your ability to really connect and attract premium level clients into your world with a smaller audience, a more intimate audience, is going to be stronger than the larger audiences. Now, the larger audiences, right? You've got the numbers, so there's more opportunity to tug at hearts there. But either way, let's just keep the math simple. An audience of 50, you should be able to attract at least 5 new premium level clients, right? Done right. And that percentage is a little bit high because the audience count is low. If the audience count was larger, I would bring down that percentage rate, but then you're drawing from a bigger pool of people. So let's just say you happen to have an offer that's $5,000, right? Pretty mid-range, depending on what your space is. And let's just say you just got a $10,000, $15,000 check from the host. And now immediately you've attracted 5 new clients into your world without even selling. You don't even need to sell. Your voice, your presence, your solutions sell itself. You never actually have to get up there and be an infomercial, right? There's definitely a way to convert audience members to draw them into your world. But let's just say you're not working really hard to do that. You're really just getting your solutions out there. And that is attracting those right fit clients to you. So you have $5,000 offer or service. Five people come into your fold. That's $25,000 plus, the ten or $15,000 you got from the host check. And hopefully, if you're doing it right, that host is going to introduce you to other hosts who might need your service, or other engagements they actually oversee, um, who could value your talk. Um, that's a pretty good payday, right? Well, those five clients, while it might be an immediate exchange of around $25,000, the lifetime value of each one of those clients, each one of them, could be well over $100,000, depending on what you do and what you offer. So now you're looking at $500,000 in time versus that one-off $10,000 to $15,000 check from the host. So I just really want you to think about that. So many speakers out there say, I definitely don't do pay to play. If I don't get paid, I don't speak. Um, well, to me, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, that's being a bit short-sighted, because honestly, your biggest tool of growth is your voice, is how you connect and how you communicate, and what you offer, those transformations that you offer to people. And the greatest way to get that out there is through the power of these engagements, right? Going and speaking and getting in front of these right fit faces, not just speaking anywhere, but really identifying who is that person who could really utilize your next level service, if you have one. Those are the faces you want to get in front of, right? ROE, return on your energy, return on your effort, to me is often more important than the immediate ROI, because the dividends are so much longer lived and greater than that one host check. Also, especially in the conference circuit, but even in the corporate world to a certain extent, it's kind of a one and done. Once you've been on that stage, it's this isn't verbatim across the scope, but as a rule, if it's a big conference, or let's say you're speaking at an MLM rally or whatever it might be, they switch it up pretty much from event to event. So you got that engagement, fabulous, went amazing, maybe got some really great introductions out of that. But as far as getting back on that particular stage, the chances go way down, uh, unless you have some sort of a sponsorship or other relationship with that organization. For that reason, corporations are amazing, amazing, because their need is much more frequent for different levels of trainings and speaking engagements. It could be a C-suite retreat, or it can just be a quarterly team uh, event. So many opportunities, and they have real budgets to bring you in as an outside trainer. So speaking along those lines, how do you charge, right? Of course, again, it's a case by case basis, but I will say every single time you accept an engagement, you are branding yourself. And speaker bookers talk, heads of HRs talk, L&D directors talk. It's a very small world, right? We're all interconnected in this big thing called the web. And we're all up in each other's business, right? We know what's happening. We know who's on whose stage and all the things. So let's say I'm an L&D director. I need to find a trainer for um, resilience and retention, right? For my mid-level managers. What can they do to communicate with their teams, to keep their teams happy, to gain talent and retain talent. Let's just say that's your space. So I go looking, I go looking for that speaker. I narrow it down to 3, reach out to you. Speaker number 1 says they're $5,000 because they really want that engagement. They want to get their foot in the door with that organization, and they're a bit hungry, right? So they say $5,000. The next speaker says $10,000. My base rate is $10,000. And then the third speaker, let's say they say that they're $15,000. What you as a speaker don't know is what my budget is. So I know as the director that my budget is $10,000. I am not interested in saving the company money on the budget. I am interested in getting the very best trainer I can get for that allotment, right? That allotment that I've been awarded to go find a trainer. So $5,000 guy is out, not because he or she isn't fabulous, but because I can't take the risk. If you're only $5,000, there must be a reason. And I don't have time to figure out the reason. You're out. I'm going to put the $10,000 speaker on the shelf for a moment, and I'm going to go to that $15,000 speaker to see if they'll come down to my budget. If they do, fabulous, right? I just got a $15,000 speaker for my $10,000 budget. I am rocking and rolling, right? My only concern is that I look like a hero when I bring that right trainer in, and job security, all the applause, all the accolades. It's good for me to be able to really find a top-notch speaker who is willing to work with my budget. Let's say speaker number 15, speaker number 3 was not willing to come off that 15. So then I go straight back to my $10,000 speaker, and then we sign, and the rest is history. So I know there's a ton of competition out there, and you don't want to outprice yourself from the market. Do you speak to nonprofits? Do you speak to educational institutions? They generally have, even associations, they generally have much tighter budgets. Or are you more apt to be hired by a Fortune 500? They're often going to have bigger budgets depending on the department or the event you're speaking to. So you got to look at all of that. You don't want to price yourself out, but at the same time, as we talk to each other, right? If somebody were to come to me and say, "Hey, do you happen to know of a speaker who can speak to uh, recognizing and raising leadership from within?" Let's just say, "Oh, yes, absolutely. John Smith, Jane Smith, fabulous. They're amazing. And guess what? They'll speak for $5,000 versus he or she is $15,000, but they're really great about working with your budget. Just give them a call and have a conversation." Really big difference in branding. And then when you go to invoice at your base rate, put all the reasons why you're bringing the price down in the body, and then then that dollar amount at the end will fit their budget or your agreement with them. Some of the reasons why you would bring the price down: make them work for it. You built in that law of reciprocity, right? You're giving them a $15,000 talk at $10,000. Ask them how they can make up that other $5,000. I always let them talk first. Sometimes they surprise me. I say, I represent Jane. Uh, I know she believes in your organization and will be really open to looking at trying to get closer to your budget. What are some other things that I can take back to her, kind of make up that other $5,000? And I let them tell me. A lot of times it's the usual, like, I don't know, let's say it's Nike, a duffel bag full of Nike products, a book signing at the back of the room, just kind of the usuals. And great, noted. That's fantastic. I'm sure she'll like all of that. Something we also like to see is, and I list my top 3 and let them pick. And if that's a 2 is going to change from speaker to speaker and from organization to organization. So some of the things I love the most are, number 1, introductions, like that. Those are gold, right? So if after my presentation, you are as wowed as I believe you will be, and you receive the positive feedback from your delegates that I believe that you're going to receive, will you agree to introduce me to 3 people within your industry or maybe vendors who might also value having me come in and speak? So those 3 direct connections, very, very valuable. Another thing I love to ask for is an on the spot videotaped testimonial of what I brought to the table. And the reason why I like it on the spot is that amazing energy in the background is fabulous. You really can't later, if they wait till later and they're in their quiet little office, you're going to lose the energy. They're going to have to remember, yeah, I remember Antoniette was really great, but what was it about her talk, right? Because they've had a million things happen between then and now and then. Do it on the spot and have them agree to do it on the spot. One of the things I always encourage my speakers to buy, they're like $20 on Amazon, and it's just, they're everywhere now. These little microphones that you just clip onto your phone. Of course, we have amazing cameras in our pockets these days, much better than the most expensive cameras we could have bought even 10 years ago. So just pull it out because it is probably going to be in a big conference room or some sort of echoey space. Those little $20 speakers make a big difference, and just roll. Just say, you talk, just give me real and raw feedback. Um, And then at the end of their feedback, you say, "Wow, that was fabulous. Do you mind if I mention you? Um, if I utilize some of this?" And oftentimes they'll say yes, but please just use my first name and my city, or there's going to be all different kinds of answers. But what's nice about that is you don't need to pull out a piece of paper and get a release. You've just gotten that on video as well. Then I would actually go to the audience and do the same thing. Hey, I'm just getting this talk out, or I'm scaling this talk. Would love to get your real and honest feedback on what were maybe some of your key takeaways, anything that you'd like to say. Let them talk. And then at the end, ask for that permission to utilize their image, their name, and some of what they said. So that's huge amount of payment. That's huge. One of the last things I'll share, of course. Okay, two last things that I'll share. Number one, especially if they already offered a book signing, I would take it a step further. I would like a featured book signing that is on the schedule and promoted from the stage in a prominent location, and not parallel to any other major speakers, right? These are really important distinctions, and it can make all the difference with regards to those people who are going to step away from whatever else is going on, meet with you, get your book, get it signed, but even more importantly than that, just shake your hand and get to meet with you. So that's one thing that I love to do. Many organizations, let's say they couldn't make it up to your budget for their keynote budget, but they do have other budgets, right? They have travel, L&D, so they can buy a certain number of your books out of a different budget. So you might work that in. I never build travel into my base price. It's base price plus travel. If it's in North America, standards is around 2,500. If it is beyond North America, depending on where you're going and how long you're going to be there, anywhere from 3,500 to 4,500 is pretty standard as far as my ecosystem is concerned. So that you get to be in control of where you're sitting on the airplane, where you're going to be staying, all the things. I like to be able to be in control of that for my own engagements. I know most of my speakers like to be in control of that as well. So just have them give you that check versus do those travel arrangements for you, because often they'll maybe not have you in business class. They'll put you in some flight you don't want, some flight with a long layover, or going through the wrong airport, or whatever it might be. So um, that's another budget that you can tap into, their travel kind of stipends that they give. Those are just some of the ways to set yourself apart as an in-demand speaker, a sure bet. That's all they care about. Are you a sure bet? Are you going to make me look like a hero? That is what that organizer um, is. That's what's top of mind for that organizer. So those are just some tidbits about pricing. Um, if you do have something to sell and you're allowed to sell and it's the right fit audience, then the assumption is you'll be making your check in another way. Um, I love those kinds of events, right? The best of all worlds is host check and the ability to somehow monetize that audience. And there's ways to do that without being an infomercial and without selling at all, right? Just give of resources, give a free workshop post event. That's another thing I love to um, negotiate in is that as part of this talk, you will do a continuation, a deep dive for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, completely free, but that organization agrees to allow their employees off of work for that length of time, or their leadership off of work for that amount of time, so that they could attend the workshop, whether it's remote or on location. Um, and if that's not the case, like if it's after hours or on a weekend or what have you, that they will at least send out an email to all of their constituents and invite them and strongly suggest that that they attend, right? That's amazing. Now you've got them on your territory. You do get to go deeper in your material, and the people who attend are generally those who are going to be most interested in going next level with you. So they get just even more of a taste. Now they're on your territory. You can have a little bit more freedom to let them know about the other services or products that you offer. So people want information. People want to buy what's going to help them, right? We go to the store not in hopes that we're going to get our milk for free, or you know our bananas for free. We go to the store knowing we want high quality food and we expect to pay for it, right? When I'm in need of something, I'm looking for the best person to fill that need, and I expect to pay for it. If I go to a doctor, I want a doctor who has been well trained in stitching me up and getting me back together. I am not going to bargain hunt when it comes to the kinds of services that really affect my life. And that's the average of us. So as thought leaders, as influencers, as information professionals, we often feel that little bit of awkwardness when it comes to pricing. And I just want to encourage you, you do not do yourself any favors when you slash your price. You actually will lose engagements by doing that. Be negotiable, be workable, and let that be known up front. Say, hey, my base rate is 15,000. However, let me know what your budget is. Let's see what we can do. I think that you're going to get higher quality engagements and more frequent engagements than if you're going in saying you're $3,500 or you're $5,000 or something along those lines. And just put it to the test. See what happens. Let me know in the comments. Come on back, and after you test this yourself a little bit, I'd love to hear your comments. One last thing I'll leave you with before heading on to my next thing is, don't go from a $5,000 speaker to a $25,000 speaker, right? Don't make a leap you haven't yet earned. You do need to prove your process. Most agents and even those event organizers, they're going to want to know that other people have gambled on you first. So accepting those lower paying, or sometimes even pay to play or free talk. No talk is free done right, but unpaid by the host talk um, is valuable in itself, because that proves other people have gambled on you. And then your testimonials show that they were really glad that they did. Right. So raise yourself in increments. I like to make jumps of about $5,000. Really, just kind of depends again on certain variables. But if you're $5,000 now, set your base rate to $10,000, and just know you're willing to work with their budget, but you're going to make them pay for it there in the middle, those line items, right? Before they can get that $5,000 price. All right, much more I can say on the topic. We will be having a free workshop very soon. I don't even have the landing page done for it right now. It's in the works. As soon as we have it, I will attach it to this video. Um, but take a look at this workshop. We are going to dive into even more strategies for emerging emerging speakers to scale their business and to scale it in the right direction. We can grow, but oftentimes without the right plan, we grow in a direction we really didn't intend to. So let's make sure we get you that direct shot to where you want to go. Sign up for the workshop. There'll be a lot of Q&A, a lot of laser coaching input that I'll give you direct. I've been in the industry for close to 30 years, been putting speakers either on my own stages or on other people's stages. I know the ins and outs. I'm also founder and co-producer of Booking Agents Connect, which is a space where just booking agents come together and share what's working, what's not working in real time. So I definitely have my finger on the pulse of the industry. And my vision and my hope is that your voice gets out there in a bigger, broader, more sustainable way. So come on to the workshop and I will give you the intellectual property that I have curated through many years in this industry. I would love to share that with you. Right now, I'm going to say ciao, ciao.